What's going on, everybody? Yeah, I just want to get on here and bring everybody back to now. Appreciate y'all being here and vibing with me for a bit. Yeah, I want to talk about what can be manifested right now, and instead of like getting lost in our mind and all these what ifs and all these future happiness and all that kind of stuff. Letting go of the idea at all that happiness is in the future, and really bringing the future to now, and really living in that state of consciousness now. It's easy to get into a state of consciousness, and then that's just your kind of your home state where you don't think about things and everything. But what happens when you want to kind of shift or grow or evolve, maybe drop a belief or any of these types of things, and when you get in your mind about, oh, if I only had, I'm kind of letting that go and just going, well, what can I experience right now to the fullest? Joy, gratitude. We just focus on those two for now. These are things that we can start to really resonate in that energy now. And however life starts to unfold around us, realize that so much of what we're seeing and experiencing, and the events, circumstances, people, chance utterances, all these random things, so much of that is just the inner being expressed outwardly, and God's the one that manifests these things for us to experience. But the more that we're able to realize that what we're seeing in so many ways is a symbolic relationship, we start to be more thankful, and a lot more forgiving of people, circumstances, events. When you're not sitting there judging everything, so much of the the ego, the old man, is just sitting there just judging creation, judging the circumstance, judging people. Oh, that person's kind of an asshole. Oh, this person is this way, and then meanwhile, all these judgments, they just come back on you, and then you're in this mental chatter. You might be arguing with like maybe some random stranger from the gas station on your way to work in your mind because of the way they were acting or something, or not acting, or they're just dawdling around. Letting go of these things, because it's like, I choose not to just sit here and mentally just argue and just yell at people, which ultimately is like I'm yelling at myself because I'm in my head. They can't even hear my thoughts, and more than likely they could care less anyway. So it's like, how can really start to vibe more and more in a state of consciousness of gratitude instead, because it's almost like gratitude is the remedy to judgment. Just focusing your attention on what you're thankful for, and then what starts to happen without you having to plot and scheme and come up with the ways and means. You just start walking into more happier events, more it's more aligned to you anyway, and so it's ultimately your desire. You walk into it, it's already an established thing, it's already created. The life that you want, the dreams that you have, the person you want to be, you are already that. And it's just a matter of walking into that life that God's already gave you. And in this moment, whatever the future has for you to do, you can start connecting with the joy of that now and start to just allow that to unfold in your life, and not put up the walls of resistance, because really when you start to it can almost be scary. There's some fear attached to change, and life is just a process of change. You're continuously changing and letting go of the creations we've created, and growing in growing in the new creations we want to create. And if you're, not just from personal experience, being, creating different, things with like career goals and stuff like that. I've done it both ways now, where through music. I was doing that mostly through force, trying to just, effort and willpower, and I'm just going to force this thing, and I'm going to create it, and then it's going to work out, and it did work out, but it was always chasing these carrots that it was always the next thing, always the next thing. It was never good enough, and then it was like never satisfied. Maybe temporary satisfaction followed by, okay, well, that didn't really do the trick, so I'm going to keep doing it more and more, and spending most of the day just in frustration and grinding, and kind of letting go of like that, and enjoying the flow more. Looking around and being kinder to what I'm seeing, experiencing people, because it's so much more easy to see how by doing that it makes your own consciousness feel better. As you start to not sit there and judge other people, but you see maybe what you're thankful about with that other person, and then you can just sit in kind of joy as you start realizing how every moment contains something to be thankful for. There's a little present. There's something awesome there to kind of explore and kind of go on this like new path, this spiritual path with God, as you realize there's no accident or coincidence. Everything is intentional. Everything is on purpose. It's like, you being here is on purpose. It wasn't an accident you're here. Everything is lined up in this spiritual way. And it's weird because people either start to change in front of your eyes, or new people start to become like added to your attention that already seem to know these things. It's wild, but at the same time you start to see that connectedness more and more, the oneness, and as you start to see the oneness more and more, you're almost able to kind of vibe in the physical, the illusion, and just appreciate it for what it is. It's like the already manifested. No reason to try to change what's already been. Just make a new choice, and as you do, don't resist the joy that comes from the new adventure. What is God gonna do next? What's next on the agenda? How can I experience more joy right now? Start focusing on what you can experience right now, which is peace, joy, and especially gratitude. And you can expound on those almost until it becomes uncomfortable. You almost start to feel very vulnerable when you start feeling super joyful, or oh no, what if I lose it? I start feeling so joyful. It's like then it almost brings a fear that it'll be taken away from you. Don't put up those walls of resistance. It's like, why, and that's part of what you're doing with your spiritual walk with God, is handing over these fears, letting go of these things, because you ultimately you experience this mirror. I'm trying to say it, autotelically. Just without you having, it's like the subconscious is projecting it out. It's like you have the conscious mind, but then you can impress the subconscious. But you look out, you start seeing more and more of take ownership of it and be like, what, I did this, I created this situation through maybe my thinking about a situation or my actions, but I can choose again. And until it becomes part of until it starts to become reflected again, I'm not gonna sit here and judge everything. I'm gonna just put love to it. I'm going to see the heaven in it. And I want to share that with you guys, because it's easy to kind of start getting especially when you're ask, believe, receive, and really exploring these biblical kind of spiritual understandings that Jesus taught about. Jesus said that everything he did that we could do and more. So it was like, how is that possible? It's like he did all these miracles and everything, and as you become more and more in your faith, that with God all things are possible. Dropping a lot of these limiting beliefs that that's not how it happens. But like letting that go and just, it's like, okay, well, anything's possible with God. Okay, I can do anything with God. Okay, um, there's nothing stopping the blessing besides me resisting it. Okay, so I'm gonna stop resisting it. I'm just gonna let God bless me then, and everybody around me and through me. Okay, let's do that. And this is for everybody. Anybody can do this. It's the gift of God. All you have to do is ask, believe, and receive it. But it's like you don't have to. Um, you know that happens now. It's like the future. Bring the future now. It's like how do you feel receiving now? It's like, part of that is the walk. Because there's a lot of fear and resistance. It's like, no, I gotta die first. I gotta suffer through this life before I can even get any type of reward. Yes, it's like, receive your reward now. What can you receive right now? Joy. You can receive that exponentially. I mean, it's like, how much joy can you handle right now? Thank God for giving it to you, and just be still, and you start feel it bubbling up, and just walking out and that energy. And as you do, you might see a delay in the physical, in the already manifested world, but it'll start to you'll see it. It'll start to project and almost start to solidify into reality as like an already established fact. It's like it's always been that way. Well, you didn't know that reality is just a big mirror. Everybody's known it. You're just finding that out. But that's part of this thing. Is it's a journey, and as you move up, and do the Hawking scale, but because I feel like it's kind of easy to understand, of like the vertical dimension, the dimension where time is an illusion, and it's only ever now. You just go up and down the scale. Ultimately, you don't like at the top is like peace, joy, and love. You don't have to strive for these things. You are already these things when you let go of the fear that you're carrying, because you aren't fear. You ultimately, you created the fear. So it's like, if you start feeling anxiety, jealous, envy, all these kind of emotions that stem from a belief in that you're separate from whatever you're seeing, realize that is an illusion, for one. For two, that on some level you created the pain and the story you're telling yourself, and the thoughts. Yeah, and choose, instead of to just keep recreating it, you say, you know what, this brought me to now. I'm going to bless this. I'm not going to sit here and curse it, but I'm going to make a new choice. Thank you for showing me something new, and I want to choose again. And boom, just like that, just have faith that it's already happened, that choice is already okay. And then it'll start to, as you just look around, don't sit there, be impatient, like, oh, nothing's happened. Oh, and that's something I've done many times. Just like, oh, you make that mental change, and then it's like, oh, did something happen? Is it coming? Is it coming? Get out of that waiting mindset, and start to vibe in the joy of, like, you're already receiving it. Be thankful that, thank God, and feel that emotion of gratitude. Put on those clothes of gratitude, that state of consciousness. And as you do, more and more gratitude will be symbolically expressed outside of yourself through this gigantic mirror of physical reality, because it's representing, again, it's your state of consciousness, like the inner and the outer. And it's something you can test for yourself. It's something I see. It's something you can see too, as you start to vibe in the spiritual way. But I wanted to share that with you guys, and hopefully you can resonate in a lot of joy and gratitude now and moving forward. And with that being said, I appreciate you guys liking, sharing, subscribing. I appreciate your attention ultimately too, because your attention is like the most valuable thing. And and your support and everything that you guys do, your comments, or I thank you. But like with that being said, I like to wrap this thing up with a quote unquote random Bible verse. Nothing's random. God's 100% in control of literally everything and speaks to us in the moment. I just want to give him/her a chance to speak to you, who's ever listening now. Let's see what God's got to say. 1 Peter 1:13. Wherefore gird up the loins of your mind, be sober, and hope to the end for the grace that is brought unto you at the revelation of Jesus Christ. There you go. And with that being said, I think I'm going to bounce. So, thanks everybody again for listening, and all that kind of good stuff. And until the next now, yeah, have a good rest of your now, and God bless.